Hello, everyone. Uh, I welcome you all here for this Periyar Week's celebration. And today is Periyar's 142nd birth anniversary. And I'm really happy to be here and present to talk on NEET and in the view of Periyar and Ambedkar. And honestly speaking, Periyar is one of the icons of India who struggled for the right of education of especially the non-Brahmins and the marginalized sections. And even today, if you take the issues of education and higher education, he's one of the leaders who are most relevant to the present day issue. And as such, on his 142nd birthday, to talk about NEET is a great pleasure. But honestly speaking, NEET isn't a great title to talk about. And when I was preparing for the NEET, I was deeply, pained, and I was thinking of Anita and other children who had to take take away their lives and forced by NEET to go off the world. And when it comes to NEET, I think, as always, Tamil Nadu has been isolated, and the national media as always, have ignored the issue of NEET, and the national progressive groups who have been thinking to be the main picture of the Indian liberal and Indian progressive alternatives. They have also remained silent in a way, and they have also remained silent. And the hypocrisy is that whenever there is an arrest, they used to expect some kind of solidarity from Tamil Nadu. And if we did not extend any solidarity, we would be considered as not progressive enough, or some Tamils who are more concerned only with our identity, but not concerned about other issues happening in the country. But when it comes to NEET, I realized how every one of them remained silent, and as always, it was only Tamil Nadu who had to fight NEET. And when it comes to NEET, it is mostly misunderstood that it's been an examination conducted only for the undergraduate medical courses such as MBBS and BDS, but in in fact, it is conducted for both undergraduation and post graduation medical courses. And NEET is a common eligibility come entrance test, and it is conducted all over the country, and it's been affecting the students who are coming from a marginalized background, and also who have studied in the government schools and who have studied in the vernacular medium vernacular medium. And many students, first generation students and first generation learners, have been specifically excluded from pursuing their dream of medical courses. And on 12th of September 2020, just a day before conducting of NEET examination, Tamil Nadu was literally a graveyard, with 3 students forced to die of suicide due to undue pressure amid COVID-19. And the National Testing Agency and the central government and the state government all were very adamant in conducting the examination, not keeping in view of the situation and the pressure that the students could undergo. And Tamil Nadu, even during the COVID-19 situation, protested against the conduct of NEET examination on 13 September 2020. And there was a huge spark of outrage on the social media by the Tamil groups and by the Tamil netizens. And if we go to the history of NEET, NEET was actually enacted for conducting the common entrance examination, and it replaced the All India pre-medical examination, which was conducted prior to NEET. And Tamil Nadu is a state which always have claimed exemption from any entrance examination that could be forced by the central government. But irrespective of the fact that Tamil Nadu has also been against any entrance examinations, NEET was forced on Tamil Nadu from 2017. And there is a legal history of NEET, and it goes to July 2013. On 18 July 2013, the Supreme Court in the Christian Medical College, Vellore, which is also in Tamil Nadu, filed a petition in the Supreme Court of India asking the validity of the NEET common entrance examinations. And the Supreme Court rightly quashed the NEET examination, stating that, in our view, the role attributed to and the powers conferred on the Medical Council of India and the Dental Council of India under the Indian Medical Council Act 1956 and the Dentist Act 1948 do not contemplate anything different and are restricted to laying down standards which are uniformly applicable to all medical colleges and institutions to ensure the excellence of medical education. And the bench also said that the role assigned to the Medical Council of India under sections 10A and 19A1 of the 1956 Act vindicates such a conclusion. And as an offshoot, we have no hesitation in holding that the Medical Council of India is not empowered to actually conduct the NEET. So when this is a situation and the Supreme Court actually quashed NEET across the country, and it also held that the Medical Council of India cannot conduct a unified examination, there was another judge who dissented from the two judges who quashed the NEET, and he is Justice A.R. Dave. And Justice Anil R. Dave, while upholding the NEET, he said that the policy was legal as it would stop corrupt practices which enabled undeserving students to get admissions by paying huge capitation fees or donations. So it is a 2-1 majority judgment. 2 judges were in favor of quashing the NEET and 1 judge was dissenting, and he was upholding the NEET examination. And I don't really understand the dissenting opinion of Justice Dave, because he thinks that NEET examination would prevent a great practice of corruption in medical college admissions, and also it could prevent undeserving students. And I don't understand who are undeserving students. And he did not refer to the qualities of the students whom he calls undeserving. And if the solution is to bring regulation that could stop corrupt practices, I don't understand how that practice is actually NEET. And if NEET is considered a practice that could prevent corruption and it could exclude undeserving students, and I wonder how it could be regulated or how it could be practiced without regulating private medical colleges. So far, the NEET examination is applicable to both government-aided, minority institutions, and also private medical colleges. And though NEET was declared illegal and unconstitutional by the said 2-1 majority judgment of the Supreme Court of India in 2013, on 11th April 2016, a 5-judge constitution bench consisting of the judge who already dissented in the original petition, they heard a review petition, and the review petition was decided that the quashing of NEET by 2-1 majority judgment was not valid. And by holding not valid, the Supreme Court did not come to a conclusion, or the hearing, full hearing was also not heard. But still, the 5-judge constitution bench allowed the central government and the Medical Council of India to implement the common entrance test until the court decides afresh on its validity. And even before the full hearing could be made, NEET was made compulsory all over the nation. And even here in this review judgment, I don't understand the logic in allowing a test to be implemented before its constitutional validity being tested. So if the court is going to decide that the NEET is not constitutional and it's not valid under the constitutional provisions, I don't understand what the implementation of the NEET examinations would do justice. Or if the test is being allowed or if the test is being considered valid under the constitutional provisions, I don't understand how the students will be given a time to understand the necessity of the NEET, and they could prepare themselves for this examination. So the court in between, even without hearing the full arguments and even without testing the constitutional validity of NEET examination, it made NEET compulsory. So it shows a bias, or it shows willingness of government being expressed in a five-judge constitutional bench judgment. Nevertheless, while hearing the petition on NEET impersonation case, the Madras High Court in 2019 observed that NEET discriminates against the poor, as only those who attend private coaching classes secure medical seats. So the court also questioned, when the central government is able to cancel many UPA schemes, and also when the central government is able to cancel many other systems that were implemented by the Congress DMK regime, why can't the central government, the present BJP government, cannot cancel NEET when it is actually against marginalized sections and when it's against the poor students? And the court also observed that only the students who have attended coaching classes paid as much as rupees 5 lakhs could obtain medical seats, while NEET was brought in to stop big money in medical admissions. And that's what we saw in the judgments as well. Even in the first 2-1 majority judgment in 2013, Anil R. Dave strongly believed that the NEET system could actually prevent huge capitation fee and other kind of corrupt practices in medical admission and medical medical colleges. But still, the Madras High Court was very right in observing that the NEET is paving way for yet again a very big scam, coaching class scam in the guise of under the guise of NEET. And also, if you look at the time of the cases that have been filed in the Supreme Court and also in the Madras High Court, it was consistently been very closer. I mean, there was not a very big gap between the first petition or the second petition. There were too many petitions coming one after another, and the Supreme Court would either club all the petitions together and they would set a date that they would hear the cases, or they would straight away dismiss the plea and they would say there is already a case pending. So there was not a chance for fresh petitions or fresh arguments to be made in the case, as there were already a government review was pending. And also, if you take the time period between 2013 and 2019, in 2013 the Supreme Court said the Medical Council of India cannot conduct a unified examination, but the government was very much ready with an alternative like National Testing Agency, which was established in November 2017. So it was not that NEET was conducted by national testing agencies as a coincidence, but the central government was fully prepared to have an alternate agency that could conduct NEET if the All India Permit Medical Entrance Examination was not allowed by the Supreme Court to be conducted by the Medical Council of India. So this very well planned NEET examination has affected many states, especially the states that have grown well and that have shown great development in the course of healthcare systems or in the course of public services, public health services. And one of such states is Tamil Nadu. And Tamil Nadu, with almost 22 government medical colleges and 11 private medical colleges, including minority educational institutions like Christian Medical College, Vellore, and also now with one AIIMS, we have 34 medical colleges, and we have the majority of doctors practicing in the rural areas. And Tamil Nadu also has the history of doctors performing surgeries in the primary health center and also in the other small level hospitals, and we don't need a multi-level or multi-speciality hospitals every time to perform a surgery or to do some medical greatness in the field of medicine. So Tamil Nadu has already established a great development, and it has also developed a social binding between doctors and the patients at large. And in this circumstance, Tamil Nadu was one of the states that was betrayed by the system of NEET. For instance, let's take the gross enrollment ratio. The gross enrollment ratio is highest in Tamil Nadu, in the country, all over the country, and almost double the national average. For instance, the GER, gross enrollment ratio of a girl student, is 42.7% against 22.7% of the national ratio. And also Tamil Nadu has a 100% retention ratio. So it's not that the school dropouts are really high, and the gross enrollment ratio is also equivalent to the dropout ratio. We have 100% retention ratio. And in this circumstances, we have also been developing a culture of admitting first generation students and also first generation learners into the medical colleges. And the first argument that comes when we talk about first generation students being admitted to the medical colleges and pursuing their dreams of becoming a doctor, the allegation is that we are not, in fact, following a meritorious, qualified process to get admitted. But the process is honestly very meritorious and very qualifying, qualitatively very fulfilling as well. For instance, in the medical the cut in 2014 for upper caste open category students were 199.5, whereas for BC it is equal to the open category students, 199.25, and the MBC, most backward class students, cutoff was 198.75, and the SC/ST students cutoff was 196.75. So if you take the cutoff marks, the difference between open category, backward classes, most backward classes, and SC/ST students were almost very little. We cannot even mention a greater difference in the cutoff marks. So while that being so, in 2017, for admission to 2,503 MBBS seats in the state's 22 government medical colleges, only 2 government school students have cleared NEET in Tamil Nadu. So last year the figure was 30, and the Namakkal district, which is very known for, very popular for large number of students getting into professional courses, saw only 109 students clear NEET against 957 who got into medicine when there was no need. And also in Dharmaburi district, 225 students entered MBBS in 2016, and last year only 82 students cleared NEET. And in Krishnagiri, the figures stand at 338 and 82 respectively. And in Erode, it was 230 in 2016, and it was only 100 last year. And also in Perambalur district, one of Tamil Nadu's most socially backward districts with a large number of first generation learners, just 23 students have got an MBBS seat against 81 in 2016. And also, if you see the rate of urban center, like the students in the urban center like Chennai, the number of students entering medical colleges went up more than 4 times from last year, 113 to 471. This is the data of 2017. And also in Coimbatore, the second largest city in Tamil Nadu, 182 students cleared NEET against 1 or 2 who got into medicine in 2017. And this shows that the Tamil Nadu had the culture of encouraging more first generation learners in the rural areas than the urban centers like Chennai and Coimbatore after the implementation of NEET. And also, if you look at the fees or the amount that has been charged by government aided institutions or minority run institutions like Christian Medical College, the fees per annum in the government medical college is only 13,000 per annum, and in the Christian Medical College, it's only 3,000 per annum. And the Christian Medical College usually has 100 MBBS seats every year, but because of NEET, last year it had only 1 student and 99 seats were vacant. And on while this all has been going on, when the number of students who enrolled on the medical course was very less from Tamil Nadu and also from the government schools, on September 1, 2017, Anita, who is only aged 17 years from Arilur district, which has the largest number of first generation learners. She had to file a petition in the Supreme Court against the imposition of NEET in the state. And she was also forced to die of suicide after having failed to get a medical seat. And Anita is not a student who has been, struggling without any marks or who would like to join a private medical college, but she was a very bright student with 98% marks in class 12. And she was also eligible both for medicine and engineering if NEET had not been there. But her score in NEET was just 86 marks out of 720 marks, and with a minimum of 108 as a eligibility mark, she was made ineligible. And that is the reason why she filed a case in the Supreme Court. And unfortunately, the case was not in favor of her. And when you look at the entire scenario of NEET and the judiciary, it is very clear that the judiciary was in the five-judge constitutional bench judgment. It was very favoring to the open category students and to the so-called merit in the medical admissions, and it even did not look into the fact that there is no reservation for OBCs in the NEET examination, and there were other difficulties, right, like writing examinations in their mother tongue, and also about translation and about what is the syllabus that has been conducting by the NEET testing agency, national testing agencies. And there was a RTI report that was obtained in the matter of NEET examinations, and the number of government school students joined MBBS in the year 2014 to 15, 15 to 16, and 16 to 17 have been much higher than the admissions after the implementation of NEET. For instance, in 2017 and 18, only 4 government school students have joined MBBS, and from the government aided schools, only 3 students have joined MBBS, and in the private schools, only 20 students. But in CBSE, where the rate for the years 2014 and 15, 15 and 16 was 0, and 2016 and 17 was 14, rised up to 611 medical college admissions in 2017 and 18. It is primarily because the entire syllabus or the entire examination is based on CBSE syllabus, which did not take into account of the other vernacular medium or the other state syllabuses that has been existing in the nation. So if we look into the problems that we have with the NEET, it denies social justice in the first place, and there is no OBC reservation. And Harish Wankade, a political scientist who teaches at Delhi's Jawaharlal Nehru University, argues that the denial of OBC seats in the NEET examination is not a coincidence. He says this is a pattern. The OBC quota is partially implemented or badly implemented in so many places. So this is the first problem we have. And it is the entire OBC community that should have been outraged against the NEET examination and the denial of medical seats to the backward classes. But unfortunately, it was only Tamil Nadu who fought against it. And the present opposition party, Dravidam DMK in Tamil Nadu, they filed a petition. And now the Madras High Court has instructed the center to provide OBC reservation in the medical college admissions. And also, if you take the syllabus, there are large scale variation in the syllabus across the nation. There are state syllabuses, there are other central board syllabuses and other syllabuses that's been existing according to the state and the regional and cultural variations. But NEET is totally based on central government CBSE syllabus, and thereby it provides no level playing field. So students coming from different syllabus backgrounds cannot be forced to take CBSE, which did not have the curriculum that they have been trained with. And also the third thing is fairness and transparency. If you look at the NEET papers or NEET question papers, it has been leaked twice in the last 4 years. So it is not trustworthy, and it is not believable. We cannot believe that the NEET examination is conducted with all fairness and transparency. And if that is the case, how the NEET question paper could be leaked twice in 4 years? And want to acknowledge that take, or any students from different languages could take, if the question papers are translated. I'm strongly stand with the existing prevailing scheme. I'm just pointing out the problems with it. And the issue of wrong translation was something which was highlighted in both the years. In 2018, there were 49 questions in the Tamil translation which were with errors, and all the questions were wrongly translated. And the Madras High Court even awarded 4 marks for each question, or to provide 196 marks to all 1.7 lakh candidates who appeared from Tamil Nadu. But the Supreme Court somehow overruled this order, and it also held that the High Court had arbitrarily ordered giving grace marks to everyone without examining whether the student even attempted such a question. So from this, it is very clear that from the beginning, the Tamil Nadu state was against this unequal, or the examination that has been highly preferential for the CBSE students. And even the Madras High Court has been from the beginning against NEET, because it is anti-marginalized, anti-poor, and it's been anti-Tamil, and it's been in all ways against the first generation leaders, learners, and also the students who have been coming from the rural areas. But the central government has been insisting on these common tests on the ground of merit. But even otherwise, the empirical research of the United States on the common standardized test has already found that these tests are actually biased. And these tests are against poorer and underprivileged sections of the population, basically minorities and women. And also the research study proved that there is an element of class in need that the Indian judiciary has overlooked. There is a class division in these common examinations which could be practiced only through coaching classes. And there are other primary losses to students who are coming from rural and regional sections. And Prabhakaran Alagarasamy, who is a political critic from Tamil Nadu, and he has listed out a number of things that could affect students who are coming from a rural regional background. And I would like to read some of them. Need, a loss to home. And he lists out 10 losses. And one is, as CBSE conducts its examination on the basis of CBSE syllabus, 95% of the students studying in the state syllabus are at a loss. Great loss to the underprivileged and most backward community students who were featured in significant numbers in the public competition until the implementation of NEET. And loss to poor students from all communities who can't afford to spend millions and go to coaching classes. Loss for students from small towns and villages, as good coaching centers are largely located in big cities. And we know how this has been true in the case of UPSC as well, like how the biggest centers are located in Delhi. And until last year, medical colleges had a large number of students, but no longer, as parents are reluctant to send their daughters in need of coaching at the cost of millions, a considerable number of students will be deprived of the seat they have secured. So it's a big loss for a girl children. And it's honestly true as well. Not many parents could afford to spend millions, or due to some cultural reason, or due to the misogynistic culture that India has developed, it is not sure that many parents will spend millions of money on a girl child, and they would rather spend it on a wedding. So the number of girls becoming doctors have become a big question through the implementation of NEET. And also, of the 140 seats reserved for students with disabilities, only 5 seats have been filled this year. And the disabled community has also been at loss. And it's a loss for students who write +2 examination. And I mean, they could write their +2 examination this year, but they could try for NEET for even 3 years. So by the time they could have easily graduated from a bachelor course in arts and science department discipline. So it's a loss for students who would try consistently for NEET. And it's a loss to Tamil medium students, by those who wrote the NEET examination in Tamil, because we already saw how there was a problem with translation. And also there is a conspiracy that other students who are attempting in English and Hindi are given a common question paper, whereas Tamil and other regional language students are given a different question paper. And it is a loss to first generation college going students, because there are so many good medical colleges in Tamil Nadu itself, but NEET could provide only in the places where the students could be accommodated. So Tamil Nadu is going to lose a good number of first generation students who would have. And also hundreds of out of state students are trying to stealthily enter the crossroads with fake location certificates. And so they could come to Tamil Nadu, they could study in a very good medical college that we have developed for ourselves, but after graduating they could fly off to some other places, which is a very big loss for Tamil Nadu primary health centers at the rural areas, and also for the whole of Tamil Nadu. So while this is the case, I would like to know how this is not, I would like to state how this is not very different from the pre-independent period in the country. For instance, in the 1880s, not that many non-Brahmin students or many marginalized students from many students from marginalized sections could go to school or go to college. Public Instruction Report of 1881 and 1882, matriculation and first arts and Bachelor of Arts exams were conducted for students, and most of the students who are able to get into education, even the matriculation education, were primarily Brahmins. And also, if we take the record of 1881 to 1882, there were one candidate for every 125 Brahmin candidates, while there were one candidate for as many as 5,888 other Hindu candidates, and 11,984 Muslim candidates, and 447 Indian Christians in the Madras presidency. So for every 125 Brahmins, there was one student who was in the college or in the classrooms. But for 6,000 Hindus, 11,000 Muslims, and 500 Christians, there were only one candidate from the respective communities. And this shows a vast preponderance of Brahmins in education. And it was only in 1900s that certain action was initiated, and that too in the limited context of engineering colleges. So of the total number of students admitted to engineering in Madras presidency, especially in the year 1899, 92% of them were Brahmins. And in the year 1900 to 1903, the total number of Brahmin students was 79 to 93%. So though the Brahmin population was only 3% at the time, the number of Brahmins that have been largely preponderating in the primary education and in the higher education was up to 93% were only Brahmins. So this clearly shows how the exclusion of non-Brahmin and marginalized sections from the education has been practiced in this country even before the British period. And only after the British came into power, and there were many demands from many oppressed leaders and many non-Brahmin leaders, and as a result of which the British government tried to bring in many reservation categories through which other students were also implemented. And as a result, we Tamil Nadu have a very progressive GO or very progressive policy when it comes to education. And Tandai Periyar, who was one of the prominent leader from Tamil Nadu who fought for educational rights of the non-Brahmins. He was very instrumental in the enactment of various educational policies in the state. So the communal GO was also very important GO that was brought in Tamil Nadu during Justice Party, which ensured proportional representation for every community and every caste in the state. So, with a legacy of such a progressive, 100% proportional with women reservation communal GO, Tamil Nadu had already set a great a higher standard in terms of education. And while that being so, kind of need that is coming into Tamil Nadu is nothing but reinforcing the independent Brahminical method of educational system into practice. And Tandai Periyar has always been very critical education system being brought into practice, especially when it comes to entrance examination or when it comes to any other change in practice and admitting students into the colleges. He has been very critical, irrespective of the party that he's he's been aligning with or he's been supporting. For instance, in 1972, DMK's educational minister, Mr. Dr. Navalar, was commenting about introducing entrance examinations in Tamil Nadu. And as a Minister of Education, his comments has more value than anyone else. So Tandai Periyar couldn't even take the fact that the Tamil Nadu, the then government of DMK, was trying to bring entrance examinations. So he condemned the idea of entrance examination, and he has even published a statement on Vidudalai on 17/7/1972. So after one passes so the entrance examination was about to be introduced for students who are passing the 12th grade to get into colleges. And Periyar rightly asks, after one passes the grades, why is there further need to ask for merit and quality? And what is the use of such endeavor? What good has come out of meritorious people in the cabinet earlier? What bad has befallen due to those who lack merit? And as this will as this will exclude backward classes and depressed classes from education, Periyar was outraged. So he's asking, isn't this Brahminism? Because isn't this an idea originated from the Brahmin mind? There is no difference between this government and the governments of Rajaji and Bhaktavachalam. And if the quality of a student who has passed school education should be valued, what else could be the quality other than caste? Periyar questioned. And also Periyar was comparing it with so many layers of the society. And rightly he questions, besides, who are the majority voters? Who pays the highest amount of taxes? The government has earned 50 crores from the liquor sale. Who and which class gave this money? Is it worth filtering out this revenue givers? And Periyar rightly asks, after one passes the grades, why is there further need to ask for merit and quality? Is it worth filtering out this revenue givers? And he goes on to say the words merit, skill, quality should be removed from the government dictionary. And if we could relate the Periyar's 1972 statement to today, it's very true. I mean, the government is getting so much money from TASMAC, and where this money is coming from? It's coming from working class groups, and it's coming from the marginalized sections. And government, after taking all the revenue through TASMAC and other taxes, it is not giving them back anything. And even the medical colleges, which are owned by Tamil Nadu, are not for Tamil students anymore. So this is something of a very prophetic nature that Periyar spoke years ago. And honestly speaking, even today, the words merit, skill, and quality have been discussed when it comes to NEET. And the director of the Christian Medical College, he has rightly said that it's not about merit, skill, or quality, but it's about compassion, aptitude, and the tendency to to serve in the rural areas, and that's how Christian Medical College has been giving admissions. He stated it in the Supreme Court of India. So when this is the case, this is very much of it's very much giving a clarity to the present scenario of NEET. So it should also be noted that the then Chief Minister of Tamil Nadu, Dr. Kalaignar Karunanidhi, he accepted Periyar's opinion, and he did not implement any entrance examination as suggested by Dr. Navalar. And until his time, Dr. Kalaignar was very firm on his stance, and his last tweet with regard to NEET was also that we will oppose any form of entrance examinations. So if Dr. Kalaignar had been alive today, and if Periyar had been alive today, they would have opposed NEET vigorously, as it's nothing but reinforcement or re-implementation of Brahminical Kulakalvi scheme, which was very much focused on occupation of a particular caste rather than providing opportunity for the first generation learners, which has been again reframed in a different context in national education policy. And Ambedkar, let's take Ambedkar. So Ambedkar has, as a person who himself as an educationalist and who himself has realized the benefits of being educated in a higher education institution, he always believed that education is a movement. And he has also stated that if education does not fulfill its objectives, it is useless. True education cradles humanity, generates sources of livelihood, imparts wisdom, and imbues us with egalitarianism. So if this is the opinion of Ambedkar about education, we could easily see what Ambedkar could have done or what he could have commented about NEET. And in various places, Ambedkar even refers to education as a right weapon to cut the social slavery. And Ambedkar at one point, he says, it is the education which will enlighten the downtrodden masses to come up and gain social status, economic betterment, and political freedom. And as Ambedkar had deep concern for the lower sections of the society, he told that we are arriving at a stage when the lower orders of society are just getting into the high schools, middle schools, and colleges. And the policy of the education department, therefore, ought to be to make higher education as cheap to the lower classes as it can possibly be made. And if you look at the entire constitution, you could see that Ambedkar, in a way, he attempted to provide extended opportunities for education and employment. And of all the constitutional provisions, the one thing that Dr. Ambedkar had been credited for, and Dr. Ambedkar had totally involved, and his sole involvement was in the preamble. So if we read the preamble reads as, we, the people of India, having solemnly resolved to constitute India into a sovereign democratic republic, he says that it is to secure to all its citizens justice, social, economic, and political, and also liberty of thought, expression, belief, faith, and worship, and mainly, particularly, equality of status and of opportunity, assuring the dignity of the individual and the unity of the nation. So what else could mean that Dr. Ambedkar had always been for democratizing education and liberalizing the educational forums for the marginalized and the non-Brahmin students? So if you look at the views of or the past struggles in annihilating caste of Dr. Ambedkar and also Tandai Periyar, both have strongly believed that education is one of the weapon to annihilate caste and also for the upliftment of the marginalized sections. So they both have had a firm belief that education is the only way through which the marginalized sections and the non-Brahmin communities could have achieved dignity and could pursue the fullest of their life. So when this is the case, I think NEET in the view of Periyar and Ambedkar, is something which is, which is social injustice in the first place, and in the second place, it is not at all uh, providing any opportunities for the students who don't afford to go to coaching classes, because the merit that NEET is insisting is constructed in the coaching classes. It is constructed from the basis of Brahminism. It is constructed from the basis of caste. And thirdly, NEET is something which is focusing on the upliftment of the already developed upper caste, and in a way it is not ensuring that the public health sector could be prevented by the doctors who could come from the NEET examinations. So there is a need that the NEET examination should be cancelled, and in order to restore justice, especially social justice in education, it is very much necessary that the the medical colleges are being let with the authority of the state governments, who could decide for their own and who could set their own entrance examinations. Or even in the state of Tamil Nadu, we have a policy of non-entrance examination, and we have also got assent from the president, and Tamil Nadu could never go for examination. But above all, the one thing that I'm very worried about, and the one thing that I'm wondering is, why other states are not questioning NEET? Because this is not something which is very specific to Tamil Nadu. It is specific to every other OBC classes in every state. So it is something which is very much relevant to the state medical colleges or the public health sector that's been run by state governments. It has to do everything with federalism. The central government cannot bring some unified system without the consent of state governments, and it cannot force centralization in the medical examinations or any other discipline. So this is a challenge to the very democracy that's been ensured by the Constitution of India, and it is a challenge to the very social justice that is being affirmed in the preamble to the Constitution, and it is a challenge to the right to equality and the right to opportunity and the right against discrimination that's been provided and guaranteed under the fundamental rights of the Constitution. So when there are so many layers of rights being violated, and when the very feature of federalism in the Indian Constitution is being taken away, I wonder why the other states are not coming out. And also, let's come to OBC reservation. If Tamil Nadu had not taken it forward, especially the DMK, the OBC reservation in the NEET examinations would not have been now coming to reality. I mean, we have a positive order. We don't know what would be the end result in the Supreme Court, or how long it would take for implementation. At least we had the audacity to go to the High Court and ask for our rights. But what happened to the other majority of BCs in the North India and in the other parts of the country? Mandal Commission was brought to provide opportunity in education and employment for the other backward classes who did not have the legacy as scheduled castes and scheduled tribes. And BP said that he was removed from the post of Prime Minister for implementing Mandal Commission recommendations by providing OBC reservation in central government post. When this is the reality, when the present BJP central government is trying to take away the rights of OBC, why aren't the OBCs in the other parts of the state are not outraging? This is a very big question they have to ask for themselves, and this is not for Tamil Nadu to decide on everyone's behalf. And also, finally, before closing my lecture today, I would like to refer to a report of the commission that has been appointed by the government of India in 1948 to 1949 to report on Indian university education and suggest improvements and extensions that may be desirable to suit present and future. So the committee's report observed that freedom of individual development is the basis of democracy. And I honestly believe it's very much true that any form of democracy could be based only on the freedom of individual development. And that individual development in the Indian context, specifically in the context of caste based discrimination, and in the context of women oppression, and in the context of anti minority Hindu majoritarian system, I think that individual development is primarily located on the educational opportunities, on the educational rights of the non Brahmin, OBC, SC, ST minorities who make the majority of the nation. So I think with this message, it is very clear that NEET is anti-social, NEET is anti-justice, and NEET is anti-public, and NEET is anti-democracy. And if Periyar and Ambedkar would have been here today, they would have definitely decided that NEET is something that should have been uprooted the very moment it was introduced by the government. And I'm really happy and proud to be a person coming from Tamil Nadu, because Tamil Nadu is the only state that has ever realized the importance of social justice and has had the legacy of taking the social justice struggle forward. And I'm really proud to deliver this lecture today on the 142nd birth anniversary of Thandai Periyar. And I'm also very proud to say that I'm a Periyarist. And long live Periyar, long live Dravidian politics, and also long live social justice. Thank you all.